The wind howled through the empty corridors of the Coyote Pass property, sweeping dust across unfinished plans and broken promises. What was once the dreamland of unity, a place where 4 women and 1 man would build an eternal life together, now lay quiet and bitter. Inside the main house, the air was heavy, thick with tension, regret, and the weight of final words about to be spoken. Kody Brown stood in the living room, arms crossed, his face etched with decision. His once golden curls had dimmed, thinned from years of stress and impossible balancing acts. Today, there was no attempt to play peacemaker, no hopeful smile, no justifications. Robyn stood nearby, her eyes swollen and red, pleading silently with him. "Kody," she whispered, voice shaking, "you're not really going to do this. You can't just end everything. What we've built, our life, our family." He didn't look at her. His gaze was fixed on the front door as it opened, and the remaining wives walked in, one by one, summoned by Kody for what he'd only referred to as a family decision. Meri entered first, a storm in her eyes, shoulders squared like she was walking into battle. Then Janelle followed, calm and composed, holding her chin high. Her lips twitched with a knowing smile, the kind that says, "I've been waiting for this." And then there was silence, until Kody spoke. "I've made my decision," Kody said, his voice even but low. "This marriage, these marriages, they are over. I'm done." Robyn gasped like someone had punched the air out of her lungs. Meri flinched, then let out a sharp laugh. It wasn't amusement, it was rage wrapped in disbelief. "You're done," she repeated, stepping forward. "You don't get to be done like this. Not after everything. Not after you let her," she pointed sharply at Robyn, "burn it all to the ground." Robyn stepped back, stunned. "Meri, please. This isn't just about me." "Oh, don't you dare," Meri snapped, the venom in her voice sending a chill through the room. "You walked in here years ago with your tears and your oh poor me act. You stole every bit of his time, his heart, his focus. You knew what you were doing." "I was trying to help him find peace," Robyn whispered. "Peace?" Meri's laugh turned to a scoff. "You're the devil dressed in modest skirts and fake humility. You poisoned him against us. You made him ashamed of what we were. Don't pretend to be the victim now." Kody raised a hand. "Enough." But it was too late. Janelle hadn't said a word. She simply watched, arms crossed over her chest, weight shifted to one leg. But now she clapped, slow, deliberate, sarcastic. Clap, clap, clap. The sound echoed through the living room, startling everyone into stillness. While Janelle said, a smile tugging at her lips, "Finally, a little honesty in this house." Kody turned toward her. "Janelle." No, let me speak," she said, walking forward. "You've kept us on this delusional merry-go-round for years, playing favorites, breaking promises, preaching unity while secretly living like a monogamist." Robyn sobbed beside him, her mascara streaking down her cheeks. "I stuck around for the kids," Janelle continued, voice unwavering. "For the sisterhood. But it's been clear for a long time. This hasn't been a family. It's been a pageant for your ego. And now that you're finally ready to throw in the towel, I have only one thing to say." She clapped again. Louder. Clap, clap, clap. "Please," Robyn begged, stepping toward them. "We can fix this. Therapy. Retreats. We've done it before." "No, Robyn," Kody cut in coldly. "Not this time." He turned to face her, his voice suddenly harsh. "You were supposed to help me hold this family together. Instead, you became the wedge. You made me choose, over and over again, and I chose you. But that choice destroyed everything else." Robyn collapsed into the nearest chair, burying her face in her hands. "I didn't mean for this to happen," she cried. "I didn't want to be the only one left." "Well," Meri snapped, "you're about to be." The room fell into a suffocating silence. Each of them was flooded by memories. Kody remembered the early years, the laughing children, shared meals, the genuine moments of love between the wives. Meri remembered when she was the only wife, when she believed Kody would never need more than her. Then came the other women. Then came the silence. Janelle remembered her sacrifices, the independence she gave up, the hard work, the times she pretended not to notice Kody slipping further into Robyn's orbit. Robyn remembered her first family, her broken past, and the promises Kody made that she believed would heal them both. Now it was all ash. Meri turned to lead first. She paused at the doorway, looked over her shoulder, and said with fire in her voice, "I hope one day, Robyn, you understand the difference between being loved and being worshipped. And I hope it breaks you the way you broke us." Then she was gone. Janelle followed, but not before pausing in front of Kody. "You had a rare thing, Kody. 4 women who actually believed in you, and you couldn't rise to meet any of them." Her hand reached out briefly to touch his shoulder, but she stopped herself. "Goodbye," she said, "for real this time." Robyn sat slumped in the armchair, her breathing ragged. Kody sat across from her, emotionless. Whatever love was left between them was buried beneath years of resentment. "You got what you wanted," Robyn whispered. "I never wanted this," Kody said. "Then why did you let it happen?" Kody didn't answer. Because deep down, he knew the final blow wasn't one moment. It was thousands, a slow decay. Choices made out of fear, not love. Silence when there should have been truth. He stood up. "I'm leaving," he said. Robyn didn't stop him. Weeks passed. Meri launched a women's empowerment retreat in Utah, teaching healing, forgiveness, and the courage to walk away. Janelle bought a camper van and traveled the country, visiting her grown kids, reconnecting with herself in every sunrise she caught alone. Kody disappeared from the public eye. Robyn stayed in the big house, alone. And sometimes when the wind howled through the Coyote Pass, it whispered the echoes of a life they tried to build. Robyn wandered the halls of the once bustling home like a ghost. The silence wasn't peaceful, it was deafening. Every creak of the floorboards reminded her of laughter that used to echo through these walls. Ariella's giggles, Solomon's little feet running across the tiles, Kody's deep voice bellowing out some half-baked wisdom to keep the wives together. Now, just dust in memory. She found herself rewatching old family clips. Birthdays, backyard parties, Christmases when everyone still tried. Her sobs returned like a reflex. And though she had Kody's name on paper, she realized she didn't have his heart anymore. Maybe she never did. Meri stood outside her bed and breakfast in Parowan, Utah, staring out at the red rocks glowing in the morning sun. She felt lighter. For the first time in years, the absence of Kody's love no longer felt like a punishment. It felt like permission. She was hosting a women's retreat that weekend. Dozens of women, some fans, some survivors, came to listen to her speak about healing after spiritual betrayal. She wore turquoise rings on every finger now, her red hair pulled back with bold confidence. "I let myself be erased for too long," she told her circle, eyes bright. "No more. You don't need to be chosen to be worthy. You choose yourself." The room erupted in applause. Janelle was halfway through Nevada when she stopped to watch the sunrise. She sipped strong coffee from a thermos and wrapped a thick blanket around her shoulders. In front of her was an open desert. Behind her, 6 children who still called her mom with love and respect. She had spent too many years trying to soften Kody's harsh edges, explaining his actions to her children, and excusing the inexcusable. Now she had clarity. She was done being the easy wife, the one who didn't complain, who bore the load. And honestly, she was done clapping for his mediocre apologies. The claps now were for herself. Kody moved into a modest rental outside of Flagstaff, ironic, given the empire he once imagined. The walls were blank. The silence now was his own. He stared into the mirror one night, and for the first time in a long time, saw himself without the show, the cameras, or the wives. Just a man with thinning hair, a weary face, and an ache in his chest. He'd lost them. All of them. And maybe that was the point. He poured himself a whiskey, sat on the floor, and whispered, "I failed." And the mirror didn't argue. A few weeks later, a Zoom call was scheduled. Not for reconciliation, but for business. The final decision about Coyote Pass. They all joined. Meri, radiant in a blue blouse. Janelle, tan and glowing from the road. Robyn, quiet, eyes red again. Kody, muted, aged. The conversation was civil, until Kody tried to suggest Robyn keep her portion of the land. No, Janelle said simply. That land belongs to all of us, Meri added. She doesn't get to walk away with it like a prize for enduring you the longest. Robyn didn't argue. She just nodded. Okay. Silence. Then Janelle looked directly into her camera. For what it's worth, Robyn, I don't hate you. But you need to know, we saw everything. The manipulation, the tears, the guilt games. You didn't just break us. You used us. Robyn lowered her head. I'm sorry, she said. And this time, they believed her. But it didn't change a thing. By spring, the land had been sold. Each wife got a cut. Kody got what was left of his ego. But what mattered more than money was the freedom. Meri expanded her business. She even got a book deal. The first wife, finding power in being left behind. Janelle launched an Instagram channel called Nomad Mom, inspiring thousands of women to live life on their own terms. Even Christine, who had left long ago, cheered them on from afar, messaging both women, took him long enough, huh? And Robyn. She started therapy. For herself, not for the show, not for Kody. Just for her. There were no more camera crews, no more season renewals, no more confessionals where the wives pretended to tolerate each other while seething inside. The sister wives were no more. Instead, there were just women. 4 of them. All once tied to a man who promised them heaven and gave them confusion. But now, they each had their own story. And none of them needed to ask permission to tell it. Meri stood under bright lights at a packed Barnes & Noble in Salt Lake City. She was no longer just the first wife. She was Robyn Brown, author, speaker, survivor. Her memoir, The First Wife, Finding Power in Being Left Behind, had already hit the bestseller list. The room was filled with women of all ages, clutching their copies, waiting to ask her questions. A young woman stood up. How did you finally walk away after so many years? Meri smiled. I realized I was never really holding on to love. I was holding on to hope. And when hope turns into self-harm, you have to let it go. Applause, cheers, some tears. She signed books until her wrist hurt. And for the first time in a long time, she slept like someone who knew she was enough. Janelle parked her camper near the red rocks of Sedona. The stars above sparkled like promises yet to be fulfilled. She lit a small campfire, brewed tea, and turned on her phone camera. Hey guys, she greeted her growing online followers. Tonight I want to talk about the myth of the strong woman holding it all together for everyone else. Thousands tuned in. She talked about sacrifice, about watching a man choose another woman over and over again, and smiling through it. But we don't win awards for endurance, she said. We win peace by choosing ourselves. When the stream ended, she leaned back and watched the embers rise. Freedom had a glow. Robyn wandered the halls of her mansion, barefoot on cold marble floors. The luxury echoed. Too many rooms. Too much silence. Solomon and Ariella were at school. Kody was gone more and more, doing business that never involved her anymore. She stared at the dinner table, set for 6 but used by 2. Sometimes 1. And for the first time, she didn't cry. She was just quiet. Later, she opened a notebook and began to write. Not for a blog, not for the cameras, just to remember who she was before she became the villain in everyone's story. Christine hadn't been part of the final blow, but she'd been the first spark. She sent letters to each of them, handwritten, sealed with wax. To Meri, "You are fire, not ash. Thank you for forgiving me when I left first. I hope you see now it was never about leaving you. It was about saving myself." To Janelle, "You taught me what strength looks like in silence. You were my anchor more than you ever knew. Now let the world see the giant you've always been." To Robyn, "I don't hate you. I did for a while, but hate keeps you stuck. I hope you find peace. Real peace, not through Kody. Through healing." To Kody, "You never saw us. Not really, but we saw you. I hope someday you learn to see beyond yourself." Kody was in a motel in southern Utah, halfway through a bottle of scotch, watching reruns of his own show on mute. His face looked younger on screen. Less bitter, less broken. He didn't recognize the man on TV. He tossed the remote and looked at his reflection in the dark window. 4 wives, 18 children, countless chances. And now, a man alone muttering regrets into a glass. He took a deep breath and said aloud, "Maybe I was the problem." And for the first time ever, he meant it. 1 year had passed since Kody called that fateful family meeting. Since the claps, since the explosion, since the begging and the walking out. But time had a way of sewing up wounds if you let it. Meri had just opened a second retreat location in Oregon. Janelle was being interviewed by Oprah Daily about female empowerment through reinvention. Robyn had started a podcast for women navigating spiritual recovery. Her voice was steadier now, more honest, less performative. Kody had disappeared from the spotlight. Rumor said he was writing a memoir called Confessions of a Failed Patriarch. No one waited for it. At Hunter's wedding, one of Janelle's sons, the whole family showed up. All the ex-wives. Some sat together. Others kept space. But when Hunter danced with each of his moms separately, and then all together during the mother-son medley, something happened. They laughed, even Meri and Robyn. It wasn't a healing, not quite forgiveness, but it was a breath, a start. And when Kody showed up, standing at the edge of the dance floor, clapping awkwardly, no one threw daggers. Janelle walked past him, calm as ever, and nodded. That was enough.